put it aside. A Troublesome Truck Tale. Written by Slow Coach Studios. The yard was filled with the clattering of truck buffers and the displeasure of an engine. "Come on, move!" Rosie groaned. Hold back, they laughed. The train had been put in the center track by Emily by mistake. Rosie was trying to put them in the far part of the yard. Their leader, Scruffy, was chanting a song. Poor little Rosie, stuck in the yard, stuck in the yard, stuck in the yard. Poor little Rosie, stuck in the yard, all throughout the evening. He laughed. God, you trucks are horrible, Rosie snapped. All day it's been non-stop fighting. I'm trying to do my job. Rosie bumped the trucks hard. They yelped and shouted as they finally moved. Scruffy was rocked. He collected himself and scowled. These engines can't take a simple joke. Bunch of stuck-ups they are. Rosie shunted the train to the end of the yard and left the train to be broken up. The night was cold and windy. Snow was thrown about. It covered the trucks in a thin layer of ice. Blast this cold, Scruffy huffed, his lip quivering. He was placed next to an old coach that had worn buffers and chipped paint. You may hate it, but it can be wonderful at times, a truck said from beside him. Who are you? Scruffy turned his gaze. The truck had faded gray paint and scuffed letters. He could just barely make out Frank Cargo & Co. in white text. I don't really have one, but the others tend to call me Thuggy, he said. Scruffy looked at his face to see that the truck had a metal plate covering his eye. Thuggy, huh? Some name, Scruffy scoffed. What about you? What kind of name is Scruffy? Thuggy smiled back. Scruffy was at a standstill. You should be the nicer to the engines, you know, he said. Why should I? They don't give us respect, Scruffy grumbled. Why should they? I've heard all about the incidents that happened here on Sodor. Almost all of them happened because you are fighting with them. Pushing them, holding them back, Scruffy said with a stern look. Who are you to judge our ways? This thing between us has been going on for decades. Scruffy angrily stared at Thuggy. I judge because I had a friend who was an engine, Thuggy said, seeming to think. A truck friends with an engine? Huh, that has never happened. Scruffy laughed. It's true. Back on my old line, he and I would go on all sorts of trains, and talk all throughout the night. His name was Afton. We really worked well together. We worked together on that line for 30 years. That was until the Second War broke out. I was sold onto the LMS to help with the effort. That's how I lost my eye. Once it ended, I didn't go back. I was put up for auction and sold to this company. I never found out what happened to Afton. I only hope he made it out okay, and is still thinking of me. Thuggy's voice was low as he sighed. The two sat there in silence. Only the wind was speaking in howls. I don't mean to be rude, but how does that help me? Scruffy spoke. Look, all I'm trying to say is that if you want some respect, you need to give them a reason to. Start apologizing to the engines. Then actually let them do their job. Scruffy shut his eyes, seeming to fall asleep. Scruffy thought about it. It has been a while. I do need some respect, he told himself, shutting his eyes and swiftly falling asleep. Scruffy was awoken by a bump. Rosie had biffed him into the truck in front of him, pushing the line towards the station. Hey, Scruffy said. I don't want to hear it, Scruffy, she scowled. Scruffy knew it would be hard to talk with her. Look, He was cut off again. Shut it! I don't want to hear another song or insult from you, she said. No, what? No, I was going to say, well, I'm sorry about last night, he said quietly. Rosie seemed surprised. She slowly came to a stop. Well, thank you, Scruffy, she said, backing away. Scruffy sat there. A feeling was bubbling inside him. He had never felt this before. It was like a weird joy. That would be pride. You said sorry. That's a first for you. Thuggy passed by him. He was about to object, but then stopped. That was the first time. Was it really that easy? He decided to apologize to other engines. As the day went on, Scruffy talked with the engines as he passed from yard to yard. First, he met with Duck. He apologized for breaking away on the hill and pushing him into the barber shop. Duck had listened to him carefully, seeming confused. Once he was done, Duck had started to laugh. He said that the trip down the hill was the fastest he's ever gone. He thanked Scruffy for the apology and started to chat with him. Scruffy had asked him how to get on the other's good side. Duck had said to try and make small talk. He thought it was a good idea, so when he left the yard, he thanked Duck and thought of conversations. Scruffy had actually enjoyed talking with Duck. Then he was put next to Gordon, who was waiting in the yards enjoying the cold. The big engine scowled at him. Scruffy knew it would be tough. He started out by trying to talk with him, just as Duck had said. So, Gordon, he said, trying not to sound dumb. What do you want, Scruffy? Gordon said, staring out into the yard. Thomas, told me a joke. Scruffy panicked. Did he? Gordon said. Scruffy breathed. He knew this was a bad idea. Where, do rainbows go? He said weakly. What? Gordon asked as he looked down at him. To a prism, he said. You get it? Prism, like prison? Scruffy coughed. The two sat there in silence, sniffling here and there. As much as I enjoyed that feeble attempt at comedy, I've got a train to pull, Gordon said as he started to steam away. Wait, Scruffy said. Gordon stopped, seeming to groan. I'm not the best at these things, but, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for holding you back on that hill, for pushing you all those times, Scruffy said. Gordon was silent, wheezing slowly. Then he started to roll forward. Are we good? Scruffy called. Gordon simply let out a quick peep, as if to say yes. Scruffy had spent the rest of the day talking to the engines and apologizing for his past mistakes. He was put in the Tidmouth yard for the night, the trucks giving him weird looks and whispering all around him. What's their deal? He thought. You're starting a movement. Thuggy had appeared next to him. A movement? Scruffy was surprised. Yes, the others are split. Half wants to make good with the engines, while the others don't. You have to lead the ones that don't to the other side, to do the right thing, Thuggy said. Lead them? Huh, yeah, right. This was a one-time thing, Scruffy scoffed. Sure, Thuggy curled his brow. I saw you today. You seemed to enjoy the engines more than you thought, he smirked. Well, I guess. It was sorta nice to talk with them. Scruffy looked away. Well then, keep talking with them. Help the others see what they're missing out on, Thuggy smiled. Scruffy looked out into the chilly night, sighing. Oh, fine. I'll do it, he spoke. Excellent. You can do it. Thuggy shut his eyes. Scruffy stared out into the night-ridden sky, its small stars twinkling like little fireflies. "It's time for this feud to end," he decided. He shut his eyes and let sleep take a hold of him. The next day was filled with talk all throughout the yards. Scruffy had been rounding up the trucks that wanted to make friends with the engines. It had been decided that all of the civil trucks would spread the word of peace to the others, trying to convince them to give it a chance. Most of them resented the idea, saying it was foolish. Some said that they were cowards, surrendering to the engines. They were appalled that their once troublesome leader had now turned to a softy. Scruffy didn't care. He knew that not all of them would see what he did. He spent the rest of the day making amends with the other engines. He had just one engine left, the one who would be the hardest to talk to. James. James had hated trucks for nearly a century now. He hated Scruffy the most. Scruffy was the one who led the way in all of the crashes that involved James. The other trucks loved to mess with him the most. Fortunately, during the midday local, James had been placed on a goods train that Scruffy happened to be on. James had picked up the train at Tidmouth. It was headed for Crovan's Gate. Scruffy was placed right behind James at his request to Philip. He was going to make amends with James, whether he accepted it or not. The cold air had left the trucks cold and quivering. Unfortunately, all of the trucks were the trucks who wanted to be troublesome. The train rolled through Crosby and was going at a good pace. Scruffy decided that now was probably the best time to talk to James. "Hey, James, I have something to tell you," Scruffy said. "I know that this is a trick. I've heard about your words of wisdom, but I know this is a ruse. Trucks never change." James scowled back at him. "Well, it has changed. I'm truly sorry, James." Scruffy tried to sound genuine. "No!" James buffered the trucks. They yelped and grunted as they biffed each other. "You don't get to just switch sides like that. You have caused me so much pain for the past 100 years. I don't know what your end goal is, but you better watch your buffers." James angrily puffed on. Scruffy knew that it was no use. He would have to try again later. "Told you it was a dumb idea," one of the trucks called. "He's just had his boards replaced. We just need to knock some sense back into him," another said, biffing the back of Scruffy. Soon they came to Wellsworth, where they had to stop to let Gordon pass with the stopping express. Scruffy noticed that the old coach was at the head of the train, with 6 more following behind. The clatter of wheels disappeared as the train went onto the same line that James was on. After a minute, the signal dropped, and the train was off again. Scruffy was thinking of ways that he could make it up to James when he suddenly stopped. Looking forward, he could see that the green coach was hurling towards them. "James, move!" Scruffy yelled. James snapped out of it and quickly reversed, wheels slipping on the icy rails. The coaches nearly bashed into him as he gained more speed. They were now back at Wellsworth, passing Edward, who was at the station. The train blew past him and rounded the bend, the coaches seeming to get closer and closer. Scruffy could hear the passengers' screams. He heard the brakes of James come on, but then they came off again. He also heard him straining hard. James had buffered up to the brake coach, trying to stop. "My air brakes are frozen off!" James cried. He had no control over the train. Scruffy knew what he had to do. He slammed on his brakes and winced at the sharp scrape of metal. "Put your brakes on!" he called back. "No, no, no! On! The trucks laughed. "There are people in these coaches," he pleaded. "We won't do it! We won't do it! Why would we help a steamy?" The truck behind him asked. "Because it's for the people. If this train crashes, it could injure so many. As your leader, I commend you to put aside your hate and help save these passengers, he yelled. There was a moment of silence. The trucks thought hard. Then, one by one, all of the trucks applied their brakes, straining to stop the train. Now there was more weight pushing against the coaches. They started to slow faster and faster, coming to a stop just before Kronk's scrapyard. James wheezed a sigh of relief, the trucks gasping for air. See, I told you we could change, Scruffy smirked, still out of breath. James was silent, breathing slowly. I suppose, he looked back. But this doesn't mean we're friends, he said. Scruffy left it at that, breathing slowly in the cold air. The trucks that had helped on the train were thanked by Sir Topham Hatt. He had said it was the most courageous thing trucks had ever done on the railway. Scruffy was thanked by himself for leading the trucks in a time of need. The days after were filled with chatter from engine to truck, talking about the incident. Respect for trucks was shown plentiful, but it was also returned from them. Train assembly was made a lot easier with cooperating trucks. Trains were now getting on time and sometimes even early. Scruffy was proud. He now led a fleet of not-so-troublesome trucks. One day, he was sitting peacefully in the yard when Thuggy rolled up, pushed by Rosie. Quite a movement you have achieved, Thuggy said. Yes, thank you, Thuggy. Scruffy thanked him. For what? Thuggy looked at him. For helping me see what could have happened so many years earlier. Scruffy smiled. It didn't take much. You just needed a shove, Thuggy said, eyes looking tired. Good night, Scruffy, he said as he shut his eyes. Scruffy sighed and stared at the sky. He had changed the rails for good. And indeed he had. The trucks and engines were happier than ever. Sure, here and there they would fight, but in a time of need they would put aside their hate and work as one, bringing peace to the railway and ending a century worth of conflict. Hello everyone, Slowcoach here for a little quip at the end. I just want to thank you guys for listening to this one. This story is a bit shorter, and it's not as thought through as I probably would have wanted it to be, unlike my other stories. But I just thought it was like a fun little idea to write, so yeah, this was meant to come out a lot earlier in the day, but yeah, it's out now, so yeah. Anyway, little quip at the end, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I might see you in the next story. I don't know, I have to write it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one, I guess. Bye.